The Rings of Power is trying to be an unmitigated success, no matter the cost. Business Insider published an article titled "What Amazon's Lord of the Rings series Means for Its Streaming Future." And it, business-wise, it's interesting, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. But what's even more interesting are the Amazon insiders that they talked to that gave us some really rich quotes about how Amazon is approaching this show. Let's take a look. In this article, these quotes are really, really rich because we've seen how Amazon has tried to court fans in the past, and now they know that they're at a crossroads. They have to make this a success. It's not an option to them. And it doesn't only have to be a minor success. If it's not the highest performing thing Amazon has ever done, it's a failure. If this is not the best TV show Amazon can possibly put out, it's a failure. And so Amazon is going to do everything it can to show us that it's not a failure, even if it is. Even if it is. This next quote is even richer. The reason why it's going to succeed is because the executives at Amazon need it to succeed. If it doesn't succeed, there's going to be a big question from Andy Jassy, the CEO of Amazon, and the board, said one former senior Amazon studio exec. If we can't take this piece of intellectual property, if we can't take Tolkien's world and make it successful, why is Amazon Studios even here? Good question. I think some of us are already asking that. If you can't take Tolkien, well, let's take a little step back, because they didn't really take Tolkien. They used the little outlines and they used the characters and they used some of the stories and said, those aren't good enough. We're going to make our own. And we're going to make it more successful, because Tolkien didn't really know what he was writing about. Why would he, who has been just minorly successful to the tune of a few 100 million copies sold of all his books over the last 60 years, why would we even begin to think that we should go to what he wrote? No, they're going to take this piece of IP and make it successful in their own way. It has to succeed, this person added. There is no option. And that is the defining statement. There is no option. They spent $1 billion on 2 unproven showrunners. Two unproven showrunners, which brings me to this next quote, right? I'm not going to go through all this here. It's a blah, 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 mumbo jumbo, businessy stuff. But this quote about how a former executive looks at the writer's room and how much confidence they had in it is laughable. This is Jeff Blackburn, who is the Senior VP of Global Media and Entertainment now. He was rhapsodic about the project and its Hollywood bona fides, calling it a premium, huge tentpole. Well, of course it is, but if you take that tentpole and you strip it down and you start throwing balsa wood all over it, it's not exactly going to hold anything up. So here's what Blackburn said. Story begins with character. The writing team in the writer's room for The Lord of the Rings is absolutely the dream team of writers in Hollywood right now. I've been down there. Jeff met them. They are incredible. They come from Star Trek Beyond. Oh, the best Star Trek film ever made. Don't you remember that motorcycle jump? If Evel Knievel doesn't scream Star Trek, nothing does. And Westworld, which its second and third seasons were breathtakingly furious and badly written. Talk about like disappointing your fans and making them jump ship before it's even taking on water. It was so bad. And Game of Thrones, well, you could say the first 5 seasons when they had the writer there, I would say George R.R. Martin, those were successful, but once you get to the last seasons, your writer's room was incredibly inept, poor, and had no idea about pacing or story structure. It was ridiculously bad. And Breaking Bad. Okay, they got 1 out of 4. 25%, that's a passing grade. 1 out of 4. That's their writer's room. That's what we're talking about. And so they know that their success, it's not like they got James Cameron, who's creating 4 Avatar sequels and is like, I come with a certain amount of gravitas. I have the bona fides necessary in order to proclaim that I can make these films successful. Yeah, okay, you've proven yourself. You've got 2 guys, 2 showrunners who on IMDb have their uncredited Star Trek Beyond note. That's it, right? They got that, some Flash Gordon thing that no one knows about, and Star Trek Beyond. That is the writer's room that we're talking about. And so they have to make it a success. They know where they are. And the first fan reaction to the first trailer when it got ratioed to the bottom floor. And of course the amazing, stunning, and brave super fans.
It was more female representation.
I just want to know why they were fighting. Who's fighting?
A lot of talking about my girl Galadriel.
Yeah,
Galadriel. This tune is banging. I can change him.
They tried to manufacture a success by showing us what we should think about it, by showing us the strength of their commitment to diversity and inclusion, by showing us that they know Tolkien because Xanatar and Sauron is hot or something. I think they realized that once that happened, they need to actually get in touch with Tolkien fans. So the next thing that they did is they flew out and wined and dined and gave goodie bags and gave tours of England to other Tolkien fans. And these are the real guys, right? I don't deny their Tolkien bona fides. But I know how easy it is to be swayed by a little bit of this and that, a little bit of whipped cream, a little bit of steak, right? The things that make you just, change your mind just a little bit about it. You're going to get a whole heck of a lot of people who are not going to trust your opinion. We got those fans flown out. Another piece of manufacturing of Amazon of trying to create a groundswell of enthusiasm for the show because it has to be done. There is no choice for them but to make it successful. Then they created an event at Comic-Con in conjunction with the fan site that would give them good press, that would show how committed they are to Tolkien, that would bring in other influencers and Tolkien fans and professors and people who would say, like, they're the real deal. But bringing them out and inviting them into this event that was invitation only, that's not being bought or sold. I see that for what it is. It's really hard. It changes your opinion. When you are brought in to be a part of a special, spectacular event like this that happened at Comic-Con, it does change your opinion. To say otherwise would be foolish. It would be disingenuous. And so the next thing we got was, after giving them access to the Comic-Con event, we had the special screenings for the first 2 episodes of The Rings of Power. This manufactured event to bring in other fans of Tolkien, kinda, but people who are just excited to see it, is another way that they're going to manufacture success for this by putting out a groundswell of good information. And so I'm sure there was some encouragement to retweet certain things, perhaps to give it a line that it wasn't necessarily going to have from the start. And so we can take a look at what people say when they saw The Rings of Power, because there's a certain underpinning current. I didn't see any negativity. If you saw one negative comment somewhere, please tell me, put it in the comments below. But all we got was stuff like this. We got, The Rings of Power is cinematic excellence. It's epic and breathtaking. Prepare to be blown away by the scale and scope. It's an achievement in cinematic storytelling that redefines what's possible for television, immersive and epic. It instantly captured my imagination with captivating stories and new characters. They are so far very great, a brilliant visual spectacle. It is big, bold, and beautiful to behold. It feels as made especially for Tolkien fans. It's impressive. I was blown away. It's pure Tolkien and yet feels very connected to Peter Jackson's movies. The effects are brilliant. The acting is superb, and the prologue itself will destroy any awful feeling you had. It has badass women. Well, nothing screams Tolkien like badass women, especially that badass Galadriel who slit the throat of every orc and then scalped them and hung them on the side of her horse. She was badass. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to manufacture a successful show in spite of the odds. Despite any negativity that's already been out there, they're going to ignore it. They're going to bring in the people who they've wined and dined already. They're going to slightly change the minds of those people to give them a good feeling about it, because who doesn't like people who will bring them to wonderful events, who will give them tours of new countries, who will fly them out and bring them in with goodie bags and other trinkets. It's easy to change people's minds. We've seen this in politics year in and year out. Giving people free stuff makes you change your mind. So they're manufacturing success, because if they don't, it is a huge black mark on their face. So they've sunk $1 billion. They've got to make it a success. They've tried it on their own, and now they're courting the fans, and we'll see where we go. By some measures, this show will be successful. I'm sure we'll get a ton of views. I think we need to see how it goes from the very beginning until it runs to the end, and we see how many viewers they've lost. And for a regular show, it might end up being a complete success for the amount of viewers. But for something they spent $1 billion on, they're going to manufacture a success, whether through semi-truths or whole lies. They have to tell us that this has been such a wonderful thing for Amazon. And I still think that if this wasn't a Tolkien-based show, it might end up being really good. But if you put the word Tolkien, if you put the word Middle-earth, if you put the words elves and orcs and dwarves and Galadriel and Celebrimbor and Elrond in this here, you have a responsibility to make something that at least strongly resembles Tolkien's actual world. And I think if they would have done that, it would have been more successful than this ever will be. Those are my thoughts. Give me your comments below. Am I right? Am I wrong? I don't care. You guys can have your own opinions. That's great. I love it. I love reading people when they disagree with me, and I love having debates about that. I think it's fun. Appreciate you. Talk to you later.